I want to introduce you to my new best friend. I love where you're going with this. Dupain Louis is the CTO of Immersive Learning Lab, and he's going to discuss why, as we saw from our discussion, why VR isn't mainstream and what is really holding it back and what is getting in our way when it comes to adoption through businesses and organizations. Especially, now this is fascinating to me because engineering and aerospace and related industry, my husband is an aerospace engineer, and here he's surrounded with VR crap all over the place and all these things, and I keep saying, honey, this could revolution, and he goes, no, we have to get in an airplane to fly to see an airplane, to poke the airplane, to look at it. I said, we have to meet in person because we can't just talk through this stuff. So I'm working on him. We got to get some old thinking, get revitalized. So I can't wait to have to see your whole talk here. I just love it. So you studied mechanical engineering and then you began at Ariane, is that it? Ariane?
Yeah.
I'm terrible at American accent. Group?
Yeah.
How do you pronounce it?
Ariane Group.
Oh, the Ariane? Ariane Group, something like that. Anyway.
Exactly.
Ariane, okay. So designing, developing workshops as project manager for the Ariane 6 and managed operation applications for XR subjects. And then you joined the Immersive Learning Lab. I love that as a group leader for UX design in the UMI3D Consortium and and you are a technological supervisor of industrial subjects. Okay, so I cannot wait for this. So I'm going to let you take it over. It's all yours. All right. Make sure that megaphone is on, and I'm going to mute everybody. And we've got Dalbeth here, and we've got Diamond, and everybody else is going to help support you. So thank you.
Thank you, L'Oreal. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be speaking this morning for me. As you all know, it's been 20 years that we say in 5 years, VR is going to be mainstream. And every year we say in 5 years, VR is going to be mainstream. If you look at actual data today of how much is sold in VR, what is used, we can see that we are not up to the numbers. So I'm just going to find my computer. Here you go. Okay, so just quickly to summarize, I'm going to talk about XR technology in general. So what's XR technology? You can put them on milligrams continuum. At one hand here, you've got the real environment, and there, the virtual world. Between there, you've got spaces that are deeply interconnected. So you've got augmented reality, which is the best example is Pokemon Go. So you just put some digital data on the real world that you can access via a smartphone, a headset, or anything that's just basically a screen. There you've got mixed reality. Microsoft is hardly working on it, where you can actually interact with the holograms from augmented reality. Augmented virtuality is an interesting concept. Here you can see you've got a lady here, and she is actually in a virtual world. Augmented virtuality allows you to see in an environment where she is moving. And at the end of the spectrum, you've got virtual reality, which is actually like our space where we are now. Quickly, XR technology is not an innovation, it's an old technology. First experiment that back to 1968 with Professor Sutherland. He built a headset that allowed him to see in augmented reality a cube in the real world. And when you were moving, you could actually see the other side of the cube. It was groundbreaking. If you go toward the concept of virtual reality, you can date it laid back to the prehistoric age where we were painting caves in a three-dimensional space, and that's where you had the first experimentation of VR. You could think back to Sensorama or really big picture who are painting in the late 90s. So you've got an evolution, and first revolution of VR is 1992 with the apparition of cave device, which the industry took hold, and you were able to put someone in a digital world and access your data. 2014, there we go to mainstream virtual reality with the cardboard. And from then, you all know the story. Facebook purchased Oculus in 2015 for $3 billion. The Rift come out in 2016. Then the Go. In the Go, we've got the new autonomous headsets, 2019, the Quest. And for the time that is going to happen, we will have lighter and more powerful headsets. So we've got a true acceleration of the field. Why? First of all, because you've got all those major brands in the field of AR, VR, with the last two being Apple and Huawei. So you've got a lot of investment in terms of money. Here you could see a curve that shows you the number of patents in AR, VR from 2010 to 2018. In 2010, you had 50,000 patents in a year. In 2018, you've got 32,000 patents in a year. So we multiplied the number of patents by 7 in 8 years. It's a lot. There is not much more field that goes that fast when it comes to research. And you've got an opportunity when it comes to cumul of technology. 5G is coming out, and it's going to boost the way we connect to the other world. When it comes to applications like this one, like our space, we need fast communication in order to be able to access the space from almost anywhere. You've got cloud computing, which is going to go very well with 5G, because you will be able to remove most of the chip inside your HMD and have all your computing power on the cloud. So we'll have faster and better HMD. I'm not talking about AI, but it's somewhere around here as well. So we saw the acceleration. So what are the breaks? Why it isn't mainstream yet? So first of all, the cardboard legacy. As I just said, cardboard were a thing in 2014. This article, in your opinion, just tell me if send arts, if it's after 2015, and send, I don't know, perhaps if it's before 2015. In your opinion, when was that article written with this picture? All right, so this article was written in the late 2019, and it was about the sickness in virtual reality, which was a major factor of the cardboards. You've got a feeling of a normal tech for lots of people. What I mean by normal tech, you all know, if you've put once in your life an HMD, that it's not a tech that resemble any other one. It's got a physical impact on you and a psychological impact as well. And you've got to be careful with what you're doing in a VR headset and what content you're going to show and how you're going to use them. So the feeling of a normal technology is a major break, because as we are not thinking clearly about what is VR and what it implies, we can't make it mainstream yet. In organization, as you've got that normal feeling of a tech, you've got few change management, and you really have a lack in terms of objective there. So we can't deploy fast enough because we are not changing fast enough. with that lack of change management, you've got obviously a lack of support, and I don't know how it is in the US, but in Europe, when you've got a problem with an HND, if it's an Oculus, if it's an HTC, it's a nightmare to have it fixed. And this is a major problem, because imagine tomorrow in your organization, you've got 10,000 HND. You need to have a proper support that is going to take you through each and every one of the steps to help you fix your problem. And that's when it comes to training, that is a major issue. We do not have specific trainer tools. I saw that Broad Learning is a partner of educators in VR. That's an interesting tool, because with that kind of tool, you can finally see what your students are doing. And if you've got like 20 Oculus Go in your classroom, which is a finite set, and today it costs $175, but you can't see what they're doing, how a teacher can do his job. It is actually not possible. So, but the light is bright because we've got Walmart, and we all know the big numbers from Walmart. From late 2019, they deployed 17,000 HND. They hit 40,500 stores, and they trained 800,000 collaborators out of 1,400,000 that they were aiming at first. And they deployed more than 45 training courses. Those are amazing numbers. No one else has done that ever in the entire world. But there is no magic behind it. There is actually a lot of hard work. Here, let me show you.
Okay, before you go on, I want to make sure how many people can see the slides up behind her on the screen. Give me some hearts if you can see it, some frowns if you cannot. That's what I was afraid of. I'm going to reset the space, and we're going to try this again. And Diamond, if you're ready to paste in the link. Thank you.
Thanks. So, what I was saying is, let's take a quick look at the timeline of that project. So, remember, they started rolling out late 2019. They started working on a partnership with Oculus in mid-2016. What does that mean? That means that they started to look at VR and VR application for them earlier than 2016. So, in my opinion, around the cardboard area in 2014. In 2017, they had their 3VR partnership, which has done their 45 training courses. So they've got a lot of experience with that partner, and they actually designed their VR for training. And then they started to actual management of change. So they did their first experimentation in Academy, in Walmart Academy, which is a place where all their manager goes to train to the Walmart way of work. And what they did there is they took 31 Academy and they put one HND, one Oculus Rift in those Academy. And they had a training lesson, that one. Here you can see you've got a computer, one Rift, one people inside an HND. There you have what she sees and the other trainees. And here you've got the trainer, because I personally think that we need trainers in VR, and we need them to accompany the trainees and to be able to manage their sequence. So when they did that experimentation, and when they were satisfied with the results, they started rolling out in the Academy by the end of 2017, so 6 months between experimentation and rollout. They took 6 months, and they rolled out in in every academy, which is 200. And at that time, you've got each and every one of your manager and senior manager going to the academy and training with VR, with a VR headset. So at that point, everyone can try it out and understand how it will benefit them in real life. In 2018, they started the first in-store experimentation with one of the new devices that they were installing in store, and they picked 10 stores in America, and they put there some HMD, some Oculus Go. In mid-2018, they were happy with the experimentation, and they announced that they were running out. And they did that, they wanted at first to do it late 2018, but in the end, they were doing it late 2019. So all the number I showed you, the big numbers of how good Walmart is at VR learning, it's from November 2019 to end of January 2020, so 3 weeks ago. And that's what is actually terrific about that. Excuse me, yeah. So, how did they do it? Why did it work at Walmart, and why doesn't it work in other spaces? They had a specific partnership with a producer of HMD and a producer of content, and they worked with them and with their trainers in order to build specific training tools and for them to have an actual impact on the way they train their workforce. And train the trainer, that's the main part, guys. They actually showed a trainer how it is valuable. And when the trainer saw it was valuable, they said, okay, we are going to show you how you can use it. And they trained him in order for him to be agile in VR and to be able to use VR in his day-to-day life. And they took it slow. They didn't roll out those 17,000 headsets in one stroll. They did experimentation, and from the conclusion of that, they went bigger and bigger. And all this, it's just say one word. It says global strategy. As long as we're going to consider VR through proof of concept and innovation, we are not going to be able to have major rollout. We have got to think about it in a global way. How do we effectively put it down in our workshops so that it works? So for me, what we have to take from the Walmart example and all the other examples we could cite of beautiful proof of concept, but that never went mainstream in an organization. So for me, there is three big parts. First, overall quality. It's what we call at I12 the didactics of virtual environments. So how you make an application that is actually going to teach something to people. It's not a gadget, it's not just technological, it's not to make pretty, it is to learn. For that, you've got different things to think about. The design of your application, which is going to be ergonomics, and what do you put in it, and how do you use your application. That's a technical part, but it's one of the smallest parts of your application in general. One of the major ones is having an effective validation of skills that are being taught. So what does that mean? It means that today, when you look at training in VR, you've got a lot of experiments and experience to show you a skill, but it's not actually teaching you that skill. When we go to effective validation of skills, we're going to design a VR application like we design any other classes. You are going to set the objectives, monitor the acquisition of the skill that you wanted to teach. And at the end of that, you're going to have an evaluation that is going to effectively show your teacher that your trainee understood what you wanted to pass on to him. And there's two other parts for us in there, which is implementation. So how are you going to be able to install it and manage it? And deployment, how are you going to manage the way it's going to went all over your organization? On the other side, you've got the reality of use. Today, if you go to anyone that is going to produce some content, it's going to work every time, and it's going to be fine because it's in a controlled environment. The reality is that a teacher that is going to use VR in a classroom is going to take a risk because he's changing the way he works. So you've got to help him stabilize his practice of VR. For that, you've got to transform the spaces. You know, the old classroom with all the desks in line like this, and you've got also your students in line like this. It doesn't work in VR. It doesn't work in 360 video. It doesn't work in AR. Why? Because we are in a spatial technology. We've got to move around. We've got to interact with objects. So we need space. We need a place where we can move freely around in order to interact with the virtual world. We've got to change the way of work of the teachers. We've got to explain to them that you have a new tool, and they've got to, we have got to leave them enough time to practice with this tool in order to become agile and to be confident enough in them in order to use it effectively in a classroom, so that when they design their sequence, you will be able to have the desired effects that you wanted at first. And here, change management, I've talked about it with a Walmart example, but it's one of the keystones of what we have got to do in order to go haywire. And for us at I2L, that the work we do the support, evaluation, research, and survey part. So for me, in order for that, all of this to work, we need to have a part where you've got dedicated teams that look only at VR, XR, AR, and what is being done with it, how you can work with it, and that are designing courses for trainers in order to take hold of the technology and the potential of it. In the last talk, there was something really interesting about should we put children in VR? Today, the answer is that no one knows. So we we are cautious when we come to it, but no one knows the actual effect. We've got to finance research on what VR does to people. We've got to finance research on how we have got to build a content. Let's say I know a great company in France that work toward sexism question, and they do 360 video where you are faced to these consequences. And Oxfam did some they did some operation where they wanted to raise some funds and they used VR. It is great in those kind of subjects, but in fact, what is going to happen when marketing is going to take hold of that subject and is going to use the same ropes as we did to raise awareness on particular subjects? If it's done in marketing, this is manipulation, it's not awareness. So we've got to finance research toward that in order to be able to control what is going to happen and to know in advance how it's going to impact us in real life. I think I'm done with my presentation. I will be happy to answer any question. Thanks. So, if needed, I'm going to be in a social space right next to it. So you have the teleporter by the exit. If you want to exchange in person, I'll stay a couple minutes in the social space so we can talk about this subject if you want to. Thanks for listening to me.